It was not a normal ring. It didn't have the ropes. The ropes were chains.
Oh my God.
And we would like brawl through the crowd and people go insane, you know? So everybody was super entertained and they like make it a thing to scream out the weirdest stuff.
Weirdest stuff like what?
I don't want to say.
Hey YouTube kittens, it's Kathy Cat and today I have a special guest. Ta-da!
Hey, it's Tekla, the toxic spider.
And she is a pro wrestler here in Japan. We met in Harajuku by coincidence. There's so many guns under there.
Not gonna show it now.
Oh, but you
Maybe
can see the guns on her Instagram. And I really wanted to ask you a couple of questions. So today I'm very pleased to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting me.
Now, first of all, where are you from?
I'm from Vienna, Austria.
Why pro wrestling?
Why pro wrestling? I was a fan originally. Yeah, I went to see my first wrestling show when I was a teenager, maybe at 18, 19. And I was hooked right away and I became a fan. And then I started watching pro wrestling matches on the internet and, you know, went to live shows for a couple of years. And then at some point, I was studying at the time. I was at university. And then at some point I thought like, I think I could do this.
Oh.
I think I could be a good pro wrestler, you know? And that's how it started, kind of. Actually, all of my friends, we were all like, hey, let's all become pro wrestlers. I was the only one who went to training and killed me. It was very intense. But I thought, hey, this is fun. I'm coming next week again, you know?
There is pro wrestling training in Austria?
Yeah, I mean, it's very rare. It's not a big scene, you know, but I actually started out in the underground wrestling scene, so it's even more niche, you know. So we don't even have a ring.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's like in a cellar, right?
In a cellar?
Yeah, like we were fighting. Like I had my debut match in like a cellar with like a crazy audience. They pack around 200 people in one tiny room, and it's steaming. It's crazy, you know. And it's actually for live shows. So you've got like little bands playing there usually. And we would like brawl through the crowd and people go insane, you know.
It sounds like an episode of Fight Club.
It is a little bit like that. It's very rough. But it's really cool because the people are so into it. It's like a lot of university students and everything, you know. And just weird people. But the good kind, you know. Everybody was super entertained and they like make it a thing, you know, a hobby to scream out the weirdest stuff.
Weirdest stuff like what?
I don't want to say. No, but it's like, you know, just just wild encouragement of, you know, kicking the shit out of each other, basically, you know.
So from the cellar, your official big debut was in Germany, is that correct?
That's what it says on my Wikipedia, but it's not entirely true. Don't believe what you read on the internet, kids. It's not true.
So it's not true. Tell us the truth then.
Oh, well, so it's a little bit complicated, right? For me, my debut was in the underground scene, you know?
In the cellar.
In the cellar, that's how the spider started, you know what I mean? That's how I started. But for people who are a little bit more like orthodox about it, you know, they need the ring, right? If you want to be a pro wrestler, you got to start in the ring. So the first time I was in the ring was actually in Japan. It was not a normal ring. It was like, it's a little bit smaller than a usual wrestling ring. And it didn't have the ropes. Usually you have very special ropes, you know, you can bounce off on.
Yeah.
But the ropes were chains.
Oh my God.
Pretty crazy, yeah. So because it's like my underground promotion back in Austria and the one in Japanese where I had my first debut here, they're like kind of collaborating, right? So on my first trip to Japan, I was only going to be here as a tourist, really, you know, like, but I knew that there was a connection between my school and the Japanese school. So I told my trainer, right? So, hey, you know, I'm going to be in Tokyo around this time. And he's like, well, while you're there, you want to do a match, you know? So I was like, sure. Let's go. But I was super green at the point, right? I was only like, I had my debut in summer. So I was wrestling for maybe half a year at this point. It was my 4th match ever. And it was me tagging with another guy against 2 more guys. And I was so green and I came there and I was so like, they're gonna kill me, you know?
You were the only girl in the ring?
Yes, I was at that point. And it was my first time being in Japan. And there's a language barrier and everybody's like, has been doing this forever. And I'm just this little petite girl, you know, from the outside, not from the inside, obviously. But, but I was a little bit, okay, you can do this, you know. It was crazy, you know, with the chains and like just the whole thing, you know, being in Japan for the first time. And I just remember this guy, you know, just beating me around, you know, and at some point, I don't know what he did, but I think he stepped on maybe the turnbuckle, like he stepped higher or something, and then he did like a cannonball, like he flipped over and he was gonna, like with his full body weight, gonna fall on me, right?
Oh no!
And I just like in a split second, I just rolled out, and that was kind of my chance to get out. But I remember this vividly because I was thinking, if that would have crushed me, yeah, that would have been it.
That would have done some serious damage.
He's a big Japanese guy, you know. I like to replay that in my head. That was my first time wrestling in Japan. That was my first time wrestling in a ring.
So that was a rough debut.
But that's how I like it. It's like I live off these crazy stories, you know, that's just these crazy things where I just say, okay, I'm gonna do that. I guess if I get the chance to do this, I'm gonna do it. Even though everybody else would be like, this is absolutely crazy.
Why spider?
Well, maybe you know because you speak German as well, and it's about Biene Maya.
Yeah. There's a cartoon in Germany. It's called Biene Maya, which actually I think it got made in Japan.
It's a collaboration between maybe Austria, Germany, and Japan or something.
It's like
or Germany.
Bees.
Yeah.
That's the main protagonist is a bee. That's a kid's show, though.
Yes.
But the biggest villain is Tekla, which is a spider.
So basically, my name is super rare, right? Tekla is my real name.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in school, the kids were always like, Tekla, what kind of name is that? You know, trying to mock me or something. But some kids were like, oh, it's like the evil spider in that cartoon in Biene Maya, you know? So kind of like from an early age, I was like, the spider was something that was, you know, maybe a nickname or something, or like I was, how do you say, like
owning it,
yeah, my closest animal in that sense.
Spirit animal.
I don't want to say it, but kind of more or less, you know. So, and then after when I started to train, I was like, well, I have hyper flexibility, so I'm extremely flexible, and I can do the bridge very perfectly. When you see my stuff, you will see I use it a lot. I stand and I go back into a bridge, right?
Oh.
And it's beautiful form, and then I can crawl. Mm. And when you watch it, it looks a little bit like a spider. You know, it has this exorcist thing. You know what I mean?
Okay. Signature move.
Exactly. That's my signature move. And I thought, hey, okay. And also my like real fighting style, because as a wrestler, I know how to actually fight, you know, on the ground. Like jiu-jitsu and judo and like martial arts, a little bit of everything, right? When we do sparring, like when we try to fight each other for real, I've been told many times I have like a spider-like fighting style. Mm-hmm. It's like I can be slow, but I can be very fast, and then I just lock something on and I don't release, and it looks like a tarantula, just like, you know, like quick and then you're like tapping out. Mm-hmm. That's my thing.
Alright guys, thank you so much for tuning in. All the information are also going to be down in the description box, and if you're curious about more cool stuff from Japan, then check out this video next here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Bye!